Maya Turner thought she married into a dream, but Ethan Blackwell's fortune was built on something far darker than money. And once she uncovered the truth, her fairy tale turned into a trap no one escapes alive. The Crime Scene presents a new page of crime, a new mystery, a new shock case. Maya Turner always dreamed of escaping her small Texas town, where life moved slow and dreams died young. When she met Ethan Blackwell at a charity gala, it felt like fate had hand-delivered her a miracle. He was smooth, polished, and carried himself like a man who owned the world. And in a way, he did. Ethan came from one of California's richest families, the kind whose last name opened doors everywhere. Within weeks, Maya went from coffee runs to champagne toasts, trading dusty sidewalks for ocean view balconies. The whirlwind romance hit fast. Ethan spoiled her with designer clothes, diamond bracelets, and whispered promises of forever. When he proposed at sunset on his family's private island, Maya said yes without a second thought. Everyone back home called her lucky, the small-town girl who'd bagged a millionaire. But luck has its own price tag, and she was about to learn that the hard way. The Blackwell estate was something out of a dream. Massive marble halls, golden chandeliers, and more rooms than she could count. Staff moved like ghosts, silent and efficient, never meeting her eyes. Ethan's parents welcomed her politely, but their smiles didn't quite reach their eyes. There was a tension in that house that no one talked about, like a secret everyone knew but refused to say out loud. Maya brushed it off as nerves, convincing herself wealth came with weird habits. But the nights were too quiet, and the shadows too long. She'd catch glances of closed doors, hushed conversations ending as she walked in. The mansion looked perfect from the outside, but something underneath didn't feel right. It was as if the Blackwell family's perfection was built on something rotten, something no one dared to mention, and Maya had just stepped right into it. A week after the wedding, Maya started noticing things that didn't make sense. The west wing of the Blackwell mansion was always locked, its doors guarded by digital keypads and heavy brass handles. When she asked Ethan about it, he brushed it off, saying it was under renovation. But that excuse didn't sit right. Renovations didn't explain the shadows she saw flickering under the door late at night, or the faint metallic thuds echoing through the halls. The staff seemed tense, moving quickly whenever she was near that part of the house. Once, she caught a housemaid glancing nervously at the west wing, whispering something in Spanish before crossing herself. When Maya tried to ask what was wrong, the woman froze, then hurried away like she'd said too much. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept hearing low, muffled noises, like chains rattling or machines humming underground. It wasn't the sound of old plumbing. It was deliberate, mechanical, alive. The next morning, she followed a group of workers carrying long, black bags toward the garage. They were heavy, dragging slightly, and the smell that lingered afterward made her stomach twist. Later, she saw the same truck drive off through the back gate. No markings, no plates. When she brought it up to Ethan's mother, the woman smiled sweetly and told her to focus on being a good wife. Every instinct in Maya screamed that she was being watched. Cameras blinked in the corners, and even her phone started glitching when she tried to take pictures. The more she looked, the more she felt the house itself was alive, breathing, listening, hiding something no one wanted her to find. Whatever was happening behind those locked doors wasn't renovation. It was a secret meant to stay buried, no matter the cost. Maya's curiosity turned into obsession. She started digging through the family's files late at night, when everyone was asleep. Ethan's office was lined with sleek folders and encrypted hard drives, but behind one drawer she found something unexpected: old medical reports, donation receipts, and files stamped with the logo of a charity foundation she'd never heard of. The Blackwell Renewal Project. On paper, it looked like a non-profit helping people recover from addiction. But the financial records didn't match. Millions of dollars came in, yet there were no records of expenses, no staff payments, no patient lists, nothing but transfers to offshore accounts. The deeper she looked, the darker it got. A headline popped up during one of her searches: asterisk, 3 missing patients from Blackwell Rehab Center under investigation. Asterisk, each victim was poor, with no family, no voice. They had disappeared without a trace, and the facility had quietly shut down afterward. Maya felt her blood run cold when she saw the owner's name. Charles Blackwell, Ethan's father. It started clicking into place. The West Wing wasn't a storage area. It was a lab, a private medical setup where Charles had continued illegal organ testing under the guise of philanthropy. The Blackwells were using their charity network to source donors, people society had forgotten. They built their empire on real estate, but their fortune multiplied through the sale of harvested organs, traded through international black markets. Maya wanted to believe it wasn't true, that maybe she was mistaken, but the evidence was too real. The locked doors, the black bags, the strange smells, it all connected. Her husband's charm, her mother-in-law's cold smile, the silence of the staff, they weren't just hiding something. They were all part of it. And now, Maya realized, she was trapped inside the family business she was never meant to know about. When Maya finally decided to escape, it was already too late. Every exit from the estate was monitored, every car tracked, every staff member loyal to the Blackwell name. She tried to call her friend from her old life, but the line cut out before she could even say her location. Her phone, laptop, everything was wiped clean overnight. Ethan began acting strange, distant, almost rehearsed in every word he spoke. His warmth had turned mechanical, and his eyes followed her like a stranger's. She started noticing her belongings moved around. Drawers opened that she hadn't touched, and documents she'd hidden suddenly gone. One morning, she woke up to flashing red and blue lights outside the mansion. The police were waiting, not to save her, but to arrest her. They claimed she was behind a massive money laundering scheme tied to charity fraud and illegal medical practices. Photos, documents, and transfers, every piece of evidence pointed directly to her. Even her fingerprints were found on files she'd never seen. The Blackwells stood in the background, calm and unbothered, watching as the police took her away. Ethan even gave a sympathetic statement to the press, calling it a devastating betrayal. Maya realized they had planned this from the start. She had become the perfect scapegoat, an outsider, naive and disposable. In her holding cell, she screamed her innocence, but no one listened. The Blackwells had power in every corner. Lawyers, cops, judges, all bought and silenced. Weeks later, she saw Ethan on TV with another woman by his side, smiling like nothing had ever happened. The caption read asterisk, Ethan Blackwell moves on after heartbreak. Asterisk Maya stared at the screen, shaking with rage and fear. The message was clear. She wasn't just betrayed. She had been erased. And the Blackwells always cleaned up their mess. Months dragged by in prison, each day blending into the next. Maya had stopped hoping for justice, until the day a guard handed her a plain envelope with no name, no return address. Inside was a photograph. It showed Ethan's new wife, standing in front of the Blackwell mansion, smiling in a white dress. But behind her, in one of the upstairs windows, was a shadow, a figure watching. The outline looked eerily familiar, and Maya's stomach twisted. She didn't know if it was paranoia or proof that something was about to happen. A week later, the news broke like wildfire. The Blackwell estate had gone up in flames overnight. The blaze was so intense that firefighters couldn't save a single structure. The entire Blackwell family was presumed dead. Reporters said the fire started from an electrical fault, but investigators hinted at arson. No suspects. No bodies identified. The case closed fast, almost too cleanly. Maya was released not long after. Her charges quietly dropped with no explanation. She walked out of prison into silence. No reporters, no police, just freedom that felt heavier than her sentence. For a while, she disappeared, leaving no trail. But then something strange surfaced. Across the state, a new rehab and renewal center opened under a different name, run by a shell company. The building's logo had a hidden pattern, almost identical to the old Blackwell symbol. Among the listed investors was a single unfamiliar name, MT Holdings. Online forums lit up, claiming it stood for Maya Turner. Some said she'd taken revenge and taken over the empire. Others whispered she'd become what she once feared. Whether she burned the Blackwells alive or joined their legacy, no one could say. But one truth remained. Every secret has a price, and Maya had learned how to make others pay it.